And that random unhoused person that you see on the screen is Edward Lagares. He's a close personal friend of mine.
How you guys doing?
Uh, and that sounded like an innuendo, but I didn't mean to do that. He's joining us today because we had to recast our third host again. Justin abandoned us. We had to recast him. He's still gone. We had Kevin on last week, and now we had to recast him. We actually fired him.
Hmm.
HR reasons. We signed NDAs, all that big deal.
Hmm. Can't talk about
Super
it.
huge.
Yeah.
Can't talk about it. Actually,
Yeah.
this might already be in breach of it.
Yeah.
And now we have Eddie. Eddie, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Considering this was a last minute thing, I was like, fuck
Yeah,
yeah, let's do it.
exactly. Literally just picked you up off the street and said, "Get on your phone."
Yeah, give me $100.
Yeah,
Give me a
there
nice
you go.
place to stay for the night.
Yeah,
Love
yeah,
it.
absolutely. In case you guys were listening, all of that was a lie. Okay, I have an issue where I'm like joking around sometimes and people don't know that. All of that was a lie. I've known Eddie for years. He's a good friend of mine. He's just filling in for the week. Justin should be back next week. Okay, he has been out. He's been a real busy person, so he's
Being
just been
famous.
yeah, he's busy going to movie premieres, being
Yep.
famous, going to Chicago, doing a bunch of stuff that me and Stefania don't get to do as the lesser hosts of the show.
Womp womp. Well,
So
I do live close to New York, so I do have that where I
mhm,
can just
that
go there whenever I want.
that's true. That's Justin's fault too, though. But anyway, we have another show for you guys ready today, and we have some pretty big stuff to talk about. The first of which being record-breaking Memorial Day weekend box office uh for any movie, right? Not even just anime, just any
I don't
movie.
know if it was for any movie, was it?
Yeah,
Oh wow.
yeah.
Shoot.
The
Mission Impossible and Stitch.
Yeah,
just
Mission
Mission
Impossible.
Mission Impossible, but standalone by itself, just Lilo and Stitch broke the record
Hmm.
for the opening box office weekend, which I think um, kind of silences a lot of the critics, right? A lot of the like, boo, no anti-live action. I'd rather die than watch a live action remake of a Disney film. That type of crowd. So obviously there's an audience for it. It's working, but there does seem to be a little bit of drama around the movie. So I'll just start off and ask, have you guys seen it? Are you going to see it? What did you think of the original? Eddie, what do you think?
I love the original. I was always a fan. It's just fun, and especially when they diverted to like the series to catch all of his cousins and all that stuff. That was fun. Um, I've never hated live action, but I feel like more recently it's been like a very silver lining to get right, because they can get it right, or they can literally just switch a couple of things and say here, we're the ones with the money and we're the ones that are going to give you this, cake on a platter. And you might not like the flavor, but this is what we're giving you.
Right.
Not all of them, not all live action is bad. Some do pretty well. But then you're thinking, why do they just not copy and paste, you know, what we're hoping for,
Right.
right? Because that's what you think. Oh my God, live action is going to be the same storyboard, but real,
But
Yeah.
real.
right?
Yeah,
But real.
it's that's how they pitch like the next live action one. It's like Tangled, but real.
But real.
Um, I will say, I will point out that they apparently did do that verbatim with How to Train Your Dragon because people got to see it early, and I've heard very positive things about it.
Yes.
And I think it's like basically copy and paste of the original. So, that's what you kind of expect when they say we're going to do live action of this. But Disney, they tend to change a few things to appeal to, I guess, a modern day crowd, or
Hmm.
maybe some things that happened in the original where like maybe we're not like, and we're I guess okay for the time, but now it's like not. So they adapt it for today's society. And you also have to think about this: Lilo and Stitch, they catered this movie, the live action, to children. Anybody who is a fan of the original, growing up, they're gonna go see it. But mostly, they're adults now with kids. They're gonna bring their kids to go see it, right? Even if they did show them the original cartoon,
Mm-hmm.
they're gonna bring their kids to go see this movie. That's why it made over $300 million worldwide, and it only had 100 mil for the budget and 100 mil for marketing. So they made over $100 million in profit already, and it's just the opening weekend, right? Um, Now, I'm kind of in the middle with live action stuff. It's just because when Disney did their first few live actions with Cinderella and Beauty and the Beast, I loved those. They did those very well, and they were very pretty. One of the comments I heard about this Lilo and Stitch was that it wasn't like vibrant in color like the original was. Like I think I saw a screen grab of like the ocean when they were surfing, and it was just like, I mean, like it's live action. It's like how a real life ocean looks, but it missed that like colorfulness that the original had. And I get it. It's not like realistic, whatever. There are oceans out there that are like very like pretty and vibrant, so it must just be the color grading that they did. But that was one of the comments that I actually saw today. Um, that's one thing that I kind of don't like about live action is that when you make it live action, all the color from the original animation is just gone. It's very saturated. Um, Desaturated, my bad. And that's like one of the things that I loved about the original Lilo and Stitch, how pretty it was. And like, I think they did that very well with Cinderella and Beauty and the Beast, and even Aladdin too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I just think that like if they want to do live action, I feel like they should keep some elements of the original animated movie in there, just to give it like that character. I don't know. That's just me. But, it did make a lot of money. Disney's all about making money, right? As
Yep.
any other big company would be. I would too would like to make a lot of money. So they're just gonna keep pumping out these live action things, and everyone's gonna go see it, and they're just gonna keep making money and keep doing it again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the what's interesting about Lilo and Stitch is that it's got, I mean, there's always going to be the grown-ups that love the original and they're going to go see it because it's the remake, right? But arguably, even if you liked the original Beauty and the Beast, right? Like you're going for your daughter when she wants to go see it, right? You're not going for you, you're not necessarily going for you for yourself. I think Lilo and Stitch
I
is
would
the
be.
first, you would be, yeah. I think Lilo and Stitch is the first live action remake where there's a significant portion of adults that are
Yeah.
going to go see it because it is Lilo and Stitch.
Yep.
It's such an iconic
Mm-hmm.
point in like millennial childhood that we're like, oh shit, Lilo and Stitch. It's not like the princess movies, right? It's not like the other animated movies, and it's not to bash them or say anything like that negative about them. It's just different. It's not the same. It's kind of like Toy Story, right? I know it's not a animated remake or anything like that, but Toy Story 3 came out, and we were all already grown up. I mean, not Stefania. Stefania was just
No,
starting
I was grown
elementary
up.
school, right?
Toy Story. When did
Uh,
Toy Story 3 come out?
I was already out of school,
Let's see. I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah.
out of high
'Cause
school.
I actually saw that in theaters. It came out in 2010.
Yeah, I was already out of school.
Damn.
You weren't, but
I was 10 years old.
Christ. Oh my God. I had a full-time job.
Oh God.
So Toy Story 3 came out. My point is, like Toy Story 3 came out, and I was just as hyped. I was sat for that movie because I grew up with those other ones, right? Um, it's the same thing with Lilo and Stitch. It's to go back to the most recent one, the most recent live action that isn't Lilo and Stitch, Snow White, for example, right? Sure, it had a bunch of issues with politics and Rachel and Gal Gadot and all this crap, but at the end of the day, Snow White as a property, as a like intellectual property IP, does not have the same type of hype as even the other princesses, right? It would already had that uphill battle. I think Lilo Stitch has the exact opposite problem, where it's not a problem at all. It's a good thing that it's so recent that the adults want to go see it for themselves. not just because, oh, I have to take my kid to see it,
Hmm.
which I think is what they're banking on when it comes to Moana. And that may be misguided. That may be
Uh,
misguided, but Eddie, clear something up for us here. Are you going to go see the Moana live action remake that comes out
I'm gonna
next
go
year?
see. You know, the only one I haven't seen yet is the Aladdin live action. I think that's the only one I haven't seen. Well, that and Snow White. I'm not gonna see Snow White,
Yeah,
but
I'm not.
you know what is the what gets people going when it comes to this stuff is their expectations,
Yeah.
right? Because you want to see the live action. You want to see them and how they bring these characters to actual life without the old school animations,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I
yeah.
think
And so
that's
when
the
they
draw.
when they finally get it, it's like, oh, you know,
It's
damn.
interesting you bring up Aladdin though because I don't know, Will Smith not Will Smith specifically, but Genie looks a little rough in my opinion.
In the movie.
But yeah, yeah, but it was decent. It was fine
Yeah.
as far as remakes goes, right? What uh what do you think about Moana though? That was my question. Are you
So
hyped for that? Do you think
I'm gonna
that one
watch it.
crosses the line into too soon?
I'm gonna watch it.
Okay.
I think if I don't think there's like a way to like screw it up in a sense.
Right.
There you can actually like there's nothing there that uh is hard to bring to life. They
Right.
just have to make sure that they do the story,
Right.
right?
And I think that's one
Yeah.
that they don't have to update or change.
No, it's
It's
so
the most
recent.
recent. Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
most
Yeah.
recent. So
Which is like
hopefully,
pretty insane to me. I mean, like I get it. It's a money grab, literally. Because the third Moana comes out what before it, right before it or something.
there's gonna be a third one.
I think right after.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh,
or
I
right
didn't
after.
know that.
Yeah, it
Part
makes
2 has a
no sense to me.
part 2 has a post-credit scene with the villains and stuff and they're like, "Oh, I'm just getting started" or some shit like that. And then you're like, "Wait, what?"
Yeah, and the
So,
second one didn't do that well, or didn't get received that well, and so like it doesn't make sense to me. It's
I
all
think The
about
Rock is pushing
money.
for it.
somebody, I mean, yeah, they signed $7. The
Yeah.
Rock Studio signed some sort of like deal with Disney to make films and stuff. So I think that's probably part of it. And say what you will about Dwayne, he gets people seated
Yeah.
and
Yep.
watching him. Unlike some of the other similar stars like Ryan Reynolds, Gal Gadot, like it's kind of hit or miss, right? Sometimes they'll go see them, sometimes they won't. In the case of Ryan, I don't think he's ever had like an in theater movie aside from Deadpool that he was just like the star draw.
Yeah.
Maybe Free Guy. Did that come out in theaters?
Yeah,
I
I
don't
think so.
remember it. It did?
I
Yeah,
think
but
so.
all his stuff has been on Netflix, right? The Adam
Yeah.
Project, that was
Yeah.
Netflix. Red Notice, which is the one with Gal Gadot and Dwayne
Mhm.
Johnson. I have absolutely no idea how that did because it was just on Netflix.
Pretty good.
But going back to changes to these live action remakes, though, that separate from this success, right, and the fact that this movie Lilo and Stitch is doing objectively well at the box office, it's upset a lot of people because of some of the changes that have been made to it. So this is a spoiler warning to anybody listening. Do you guys care to be spoiled?
No, I've already seen everything.
Yeah,
Okay.
Sam.
Stitch dies.
I'm just kidding. Ah!
No, I'm kidding. Okay, so obviously he doesn't die. So the biggest change, there's been a few, and the critiques, I think some of them are valid, some of them are not. And I think generally speaking, my thoughts on live action remakes are like twist yourself, contort yourself into believing whatever it is that you want to believe, but these are for kids. Okay, yes, it has some appeal to the grown-ups that grew up with it, especially Lilo and Stitch. Sure. But this is for kids, it's a new generation, yada yada yada. The critiques and the way that people behave around this has ranged from as calm and as simple as me right now explaining about how it's for hey, it's for kids, right? to like 10, 15-minute dissertations about how Disney is in crisis and this is yet another money grab that fails to captivate storytelling and blah 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 blah. And it's just like, calm down, all right, calm your ass down. I do think some of these changes are valid. I do think some are not. I think the biggest one is how Nani abandons Lilo in the movie. What do you guys think about that? Stefania, what do you think about it?
Um, I've read a lot. I'm going based off like what I've read from
Yeah.
people online. I've read a lot of people saying that one, it'd be very unlike Nani to give up Lilo like that.
Hmm.
Especially because in the original, she was literally like fighting her way to get her back,
Yeah.
right? Um, and two, there's like the cultural aspect of it where like in like native Hawaii, like she gives up Lilo to like basically the colonists, right?
Hmm.
And so it just like it doesn't really make any sense. Like that would never ever happen,
To
right?
the
You
government.
think
Yeah,
to
yeah.
the government, right? Um, so I've read some those opinions, and obviously they were like they didn't like it,
Right.
didn't like that change. I personally, I with the original, with how much Nani loves Lilo, I would never have thought she would just give her up. And does she like go to college or something, or is that?
So, okay, so to clear things, I should have started with this. So, what Nani does is she gives up legal custody of Lilo
Yeah,
to have her taken care of medically, so that her medical bills, all that stuff is just like in
Included
charge
in.
of the government. Like they
Yeah.
just cover it because she's like technically a foster child.
yeah,
But in the beginning of the movie, the neighbor is you know how like throughout the movie shit's happening, right? And
yeah.
one of those things, she thinks that, oh, thank you so much to the neighbor. And she's like, girl, you know we're family. So it's kind of like playing on it very early on sets up the theme of like, yes, this is not technically blood relative, but this is part of our like ohana. This is part of our family.
Hmm.
So at the end of the movie, by the end of the movie, she gives up legal custody and leaves Lilo with that neighbor. So she's staying there, and then she's going to college, and she's using the alien tech, the portal gun, to just basically anytime she wants to go back and forth between California and Hawaii. So she's not abandoning her in the sense that she's literally not seeing her for months at a time and somebody else is raising her. She's just legally not the custodian of Lilo, and she's
Hmm.
still very much present in her life,
Yeah.
right? So I think that context is kind of important. But before I kind of put the second piece to that, Eddie, what do you think?
No, I agree with you. Um, I think because I haven't seen it yet,
Right.
right? Um, I'm not like bashing the changes, right? Because like you said, it is for kids.
Hmm.
We grew up with it, so we understand the significance of the changes, right? Some more extreme than others. Um, but I think it's just very hard to tell why they made the changes in the
Yeah.
first place, right? Because like it could have been for any reason, right? They could have been for political reasons. They could have been like, this is happening in the world, so we should make this storyline geared towards, certain events with parents or whatever,
Right.
right? Um, maybe there's a hidden significance. I don't know, right? Um, the the change that I don't want to say it bothers me, but that I didn't think they would actually, not include him, since we're talking spoilers.
Yeah.
Uh, what I blanked out on the name.
Gantu?
Gantu, thank you. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was like the one guy I wanted to see
Yeah.
in real
Yeah.
life. Like, are you
And like
kidding
he
me?
was a pretty big part of the story too. Like he
Yeah.
literally created Stitch. So
I was
Yeah.
like, I don't know.
No, well, I don't think he created him. I think
No, he was
he was
sent.
hunting him.
He was hunting
No,
him.
no, I thought he created him. Oh no, sorry,
It was the other one.
my bad. It was the other one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got mixed up, but it's
Yeah.
still.
So just to wrap up on the Nani change real quick,
Mhm.
because I think a good end cap on there is essentially, I think they were just going for like, hey, it's okay to be 19 and have to lean on your extended family and friends and your Ohana, your found family, to help everybody collectively, right? Which I think is a kind of universal idea that everybody could get behind, right? Like, hey, I'm leaning on.
It's not a horrific change.
Right, exactly. I think where they went wrong, and it's led to a lot of these other criticisms, like, oh, she gave Lilo up to the colonizers, and they've erased the original and all that kind of stuff. Is I think they just overcomplicated themselves, right? Like you could still show, hey, she's a 19-year-old. Of course, she's gonna need help parenting. She's 19 years old. She shouldn't have to give up her entire future to raise a child, right? And be essentially a single mom, and it's kind of putting her sacrifice, her career, her life on hold. Um, I, I think they could have just done that and have her go to the college at Hawaii.
Yeah,
That's it,
this it's like a great
right?
college in Hawaii too, which yeah,
Yeah.
like
Don't
I would
mention
assume.
don't even bring up the medical bills, right? Don't
Yeah.
even bring
Yeah,
up the fact that, or just I don't know, have the aliens give them some sort of a reward, right? Oh, thank you for rehabilitating experiment 626. Here's, some gold. I don't know, whatever. And that's how it kind of solves the financial aspect of it.
yeah,
There's a bunch of other ways that they could have done it without kind of opening the lid, spilling the beans on this whole situation, um, and still accomplish like the found family, the extended ohana, all that kind of stuff. Uh,
where did the whole medical bill thing, like, did she have like a medical thing in
it's
this movie?
when Stitch doesn't float, so
Oh,
they drown almost or whatever.
yes, yes,
Yeah. So it was kind of just like purposely written
yeah.
into that thing that already happens, which is crap. What was I gonna say? Oh, and then I think the other part with Nani specifically is they're comparing the new one and her action, the fact that she gave up custody and all that kind of stuff. They're comparing that action by that character to the original character, which was written differently,
Hmm.
which
Yeah.
was not written as a student with high potential to potentially have this career
Hmm.
and live her and do something that she loves for a living and that kind of stuff to the same extent that this new one does, because she was going to be a marine biologist and all this kind of stuff. In the original, she was just like a surf instructor or something, right? Like
Yeah.
I forget what it was in the original, but she didn't have like that. It wasn't written in a way where she was putting her education and her like long-term career on hold. It was more so like she's just trying to make ends meet right now in that moment,
Yeah.
which is a lot dire of a situation, which I think would make things a lot more grim in Lilo and Stitch. If they had left it all the same, copy and paste, I feel like the criticism the movie would be getting would be like it would become a meme. It would just be
Mm.
like, oh, they did all this shit and then they're still poor, because that's essentially what happens in the original.
Yeah.
Is oh, they adopted Stitch, but guess what? The rest of their life is still a mess.
Yeah.
Right? She still has to work a job. She still has to. So I think it's just
She's
a
a
little
she's
bit
a
more
waitress.
right,
Hmm.
Right.
right.
Right. It
Which
just
is
clicked. I
fine.
just remembered that
Which
because
is
you said
and
before.
yeah, and that's the kind of stuff that works better in an animated film because you're not like thinking of it that way. You don't have to suspend your
Yeah.
disbelief to that extent. But with live action, you kind of do, right?
Changes
Now.
are good. I think
Yeah.
changes are good, but
Yeah.
they gotta make sense. They can't be
Yep.
like this. The only time I don't like changes is when they try to portray to like things that are like going like, dude, it was a kids anime or animation or movie or whatever back in the day.
Hmm.
Make some sweet changes. Don't try making it political and things like that and dividing people, because that's like how You know,
But there was also one thing. Am I wrong? I don't know if I'm wrong. Did they take out the ugly duckling storyline?
ugly duckling storyline.
Yeah. Do you remember when like it's raining and they're reading the about Stitch reads the ugly duckling book and he thinks he's the ugly duckling
Oh, well, I
and
don't
haven't
like
remember.
seen it,
then
so
there's
I don't know.
actual like ducks that he sees walking. You don't remember
I
that
don't.
part of the movie, the original?
Mm-mm.
Oh, guys, oh my God, that's like one
Yeah,
of the, that's
sorry.
like one of the like saddest parts.
This is when
Of
he's crying in the rain, right?
yeah,
Wait,
Well,
and
I don't know if it's in the
she falls
movie.
asleep or something, right?
yeah.
I think I vaguely remember it. I don't know if it's in the new
I
one.
heard they took it out, and I was like, "What? That's like one of the cute, like saddest, cutest, sad. It's more like sad, parts of it. Like you feel so bad for Stitch.
Do you think this is
The
a legal issue having to do with that? Like, you can copy my homework, but not everything the same kind of thing?
I
I don't
don't
think
know.
so because the original guy was involved.
Yeah,
Mm,
He voiced the voice of Stitch is the creator of Stitch.
that's true.
So
That's true.
I think again they overcomplicate themselves trying to make certain things happen, and then on some of the less controversial changes, I guess. What's his face is not in it. What's his
Gantu.
name?
Gotcha.
Gantu's not in it. So it's literally just the Doctor and Pleakley. They're the antagonist in the
Oh,
movie.
and they made Pleakley, one of, didn't they make them the villain?
Yeah.
Yeah, which is like what? Like he was not a villain in the original. What? Like what?
Yeah, he
I
was just trying to get him back.
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
but like even like at the end, he like became Ohana basically,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Which is
became
just
like their uncle and aunt
yeah.
figures or something like that.
Basically, so like doesn't make sense how he would be the villain.
We've got a Stitch lore expert over here.
Yeah, I know.
So he's a villain. He's not. He doesn't have the accent. It's literally just
I
Zach
know it sounds so
Galifianakis'
weird.
voice.
You
Yeah.
serious?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh,
Uh,
wow. All right.
Pleakley is not in drag.
He's just what
Yeah.
is he in? Just in attire and
They're
Just
just humans.
human, just humans. Yeah, two human
They're just
guys.
humans. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
like not even like obvious
Yeah.
disguises. Like literally, they're humans.
No, it's
No.
just it's
Yeah.
like they have this technology that just
Yeah.
makes them human, turns them into humans.
Yeah, like a hologram or whatever,
Yeah,
which I
yeah.
think is fine, which I think works better in the live action. And it's one of those where people are comparing the two different style movies. The fact that they are in just a wig and a dress and just like human clothes, but they're still very clearly aliens, that does not work in live
No,
action. I'm
no,
In
it
my
sorry.
would
head,
it wouldn't.
in my head, it would have been hilarious. I
I'm
think.
It
sure it
it
would
would have
have.
been hilarious.
Yeah, I'm sure it would have, but I mean, I think they were already kind of stretching things so far with the fact that Stitch is clearly not a dog. And
That's
everyone's
true.
like, "Oh, that dog."
Yeah.
It just would have been too much to have them in human clothes, but then that's just their disguise and they blend in.
Mhm.
And then I did see one change that apparently was super super controversial. There's a sandwich in the movie that was
Uh,
supposed to be a peanut butter jelly sandwich, and it was like a sandwich with like lettuce and tomato and stuff. It was like a regular sandwich
was
instead
it
of a
was that
PB and
supposed to
J.
be ice cream?
They didn't do the ice cream drop as well, I think.
They
Did they?
didn't?
That's what I.
Wait,
That's what
I
I
thought
remember.
I thought I saw it in the trailer. I don't know.
The
Yes, I
the
think
big
maybe he was in the trailer. Yeah,
He was in
yeah
the
but
trailer, yeah.
he's wearing clothes though. He's not
yeah.
shirtless.
He's not like that.
Yeah.
He's not a tourist in the
Yeah. With like a
original.
bad sunburn.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's the other thing too is, and this part was definitely on purpose because I think they're just avoiding offending white people, for lack of a better expression. Uh, the anti-tourism aspect of the original film, where
yeah.
Lilo is
Yes.
trolling all the
Just taking
tourists.
pictures of them and all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. She's just being a little devil, and I love it to all the tourists. That's all gone as well, and I think that's on purpose. I think that's just very much like we need regular people to go see it, not just Hawaiians. But I think they still would have done it. I don't. I think that was just them Disney being little punks, right? They were just being scared of not doing anything. But let's just wrap up Lilo and Stitch here. Are you guys gonna end up watching it in theater or not?
In
Probably not in
theater, I hope.
theaters.
Yeah, at home.
Yeah. Yeah, probably at home too. Yeah, it's. I'm tired. I'm not gonna go sit
It's
through
a lot.
this.
It's not just a
Yeah.
lot to go see that, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
and,
for
and
sure.
plus, like, there's probably a lot of kids, and I'm good. I'm gonna use my free tickets that I have that I get every month on How to Train Your Dragon when it
That's
Oh,
comes out
that's
what
right.
next
I would
month.
like to see.
That's right. What's gonna be interesting about that one is How to Train Your Dragon is not gonna be. It's not Disney. It's not a Disney film,
Nope.
but it's a live action remake of an animated classic. So that's gonna be interesting territory because uh, it's gonna have that kind of anti live action remake crowd, but also the anti Disney crowd. So it's kind of like, let's see what's gonna happen here with this one. I think they could copy and paste that one, absolutely no problem. I don't think they have to update it
Yeah,
for modern
Mhm.
audiences.
definitely not.
I think the first one was very progressive, very like forward thinking and saying like, we are all more than just who we've been, but it's who we are now and where we're going. Uh, Eddie, Stefania's a huge fan of How to Train Your Dragon. Okay, uh, she's gonna show you. There you go. That's just one
Hold
My
on,
of
hold
her.
on, hold
okay.
on. My little screen, because I'm on my phone. Is that a mug?
No, it's a
Oh,
Funko Pop
it look. You were holding
Toothless.
it like a mug. Oh my
Oh
god.
yeah, my plushie's downstairs. I can't go grab him, but I have a Build-A-Bear plushie that I found at Goodwill from 2014 of Toothless, and he roars. He was in the
Yep.
last episode.
Yep.
I didn't see
Uh,
it.
what about you? Are you looking forward to it?
Yeah, I don't have plushies, but I am a huge fan of How to Train Your Dragon. Um, that was one of the series I didn't see until like maybe years later,
Yeah, same.
and I finally got around to watching it because I has time and binging movies and things like that. And I'm like, I was like, how the heck haven't I seen this before? And then I saw the second one, and I'm like, what? Like the second one usually isn't as good as the first one, but
Mhm.
they nailed that too,
Yeah.
you know? And I'm like, man, like, that it's I want to see it in theaters. I hope I have time to see it in theaters.
I've I'm on the same boat. I never watched it when it first came out because I think at that point it was I just wasn't into like animated films as much. I finally got around to seeing the first one and I was like, this is amazing. This is like one of the best things ever made.
Hmm.
Um, I have not seen the sequel yet. Another franchise that I had not seen ever in my life and I recently got into and is actually now back in theaters is Mission Impossible. And I saw the first one. Stefania, have you seen it?
No, I'm not a Mission Impossible person.
Okay, that's exactly why I brought it up because I am finding that I am not a Mission Impossible person. Eddie, are you a Mission Impossible person?
Yes, but not hardcore.
Okay.
I as an action guy, I love it.
Right.
I love how he does his own stunts, how he takes time to do his own stunts. He just doesn't like does it on a whim. Like he takes time to prepare and he's
Hmm.
smart about it. And um, his crew. I don't know if you know this, but like he gets the best of the best people who know what they're doing, and they go over and over and over again until they're ready to do it for real.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And he like doesn't
Um,
joke around. Like I think there was that like video that
that
came out,
incident,
audio
yeah,
that
yeah,
happened. But like honestly, if I was in his position, I'd be like that too because
it's
it's his
tough.
life on the line. It's a lot of people's
It's
lives on the line if
yeah,
you think about it.
yeah.
So you got to be cautious. I too
Mhm.
would be upset if something went wrong.
Yeah, and he has a lot on his plate when it comes
Yeah.
to that. You know.
He has
So,
experience too, so it's not like he doesn't know what he's talking about.
mhm. So
Yeah,
going back
I
to the
have.
question,
Yeah.
I'm not a hardcore fan, but I've been watching them because I can't start a franchise and not like just leave it and not know how it ends.
Yes,
Right.
I'm torn between that and how unbearable the first two are. I
The first
can't.
two,
Yeah, I cannot get past the second one.
there's
And
like,
there's a bunch. I cannot get past the second one. And everybody's telling me like, don't worry, it gets better. The first one is like,
you know what it
eh.
is? You know what
The
it is?
second one's the worst one, is what I'm hearing, and then after three, it gets a little bit better.
You know what it is? When when did you start or try to watch them?
A couple weeks ago.
Okay, see, so these are the movies that you needed to experience when they came out
Yeah.
because there was nothing like them.
Yeah.
But now since we've experienced so much crazy things and we're like, I want to say desensitized, but we've seen some crazy shit,
Yeah.
right? I don't know if I can curse here, sorry.
Yeah.
But, you know, that is what's kind of holding you back because you're not experiencing it the way people from like the 90s and early 2000s experienced it.
Yeah.
You get me? Because like you've seen some cool stuff from Marvel and this and that and and then you're like, oh my god, Tom Cruise is still going.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? That's
Yeah.
the because I was kind of like on the same wavelength. I'm like, man, like when is he gonna stop Mission Impossible?
Yeah. Apparently
Not
this is
that
the
I
last
hate
one,
it.
right? But like, he says it's the last one.
Yeah. The first one, the scene where they have to be very quiet, and the iconic one where he's like getting roped
Yeah.
into the room to steal the data on a floppy disk or whatever. That scene just so plays out so ridiculous to me now because it's like you're making noise.
But in the 90s, it was like,
But in the
it was
90s
like,
it's like
Yeah.
what?
he caught the sweat with his hand. Oh my God. Yeah, yeah, for sure. And that's kind of what I left on my like letterbox review was like I'm sure in the 90s, like we can't ignore that this movie probably did so much for the action genre and all this kind of stuff, but it is not great. The second one, not enjoying it. We'll see.
For
I've
sure.
been kind of on a 90s kick lately. I've watched Anaconda recently too. That's also another bad movie. So it's just, was my childhood a lie? It's kind of,
I
um,
stopped. I stopped Fast and Furious. I was like, I can't do this
I'm
yeah,
anymore.
not a Fast and
yeah.
Furious person either.
I just can't.
Yeah.
It's just too much.
Now, something that we are universally those types of people is Marvel. Uh, Obviously, that's not in the 90s. That's more recent.
Uh-uh. It is though.
No, the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Okay,
Stefania.
you
Okay, I'm not
gotta be
talking about Blade.
specific.
Blade was the first Marvel
Actually, it
movie.
was Howard the Duck in like the
Sure,
80s.
sure. Yeah. Yeah, no, but like those people that are like, Blade will open, Kevin Feige should be more grateful to Blade because
Yeah.
it's the first superhero movie. No. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. People did not go see Blade because they were like, oh, the superhero movie Blade.
Yeah.
And no, they're going because vampire killing.
Yeah.
Um,
Vampire movies always people will always go out to see a vampire movie, just like how people will
yeah.
always go out to see a dinosaur movie, right?
Yep.
Um,
If you mess up a vampire movie, like that's how yeah, that means you made a bad movie.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, with how well Sinners did, I mean, I don't doubt they're not going to be doing any more vampire movies from here on out, right? But anyways, venturing off to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, we got some news this past week that they delayed Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars. So now Doomsday will be releasing. Give me a second here. I just had it. And from May 2026, it was going to come out. Now it's going to come out December 2026, which is actually it's going to premiere on the same day as Dune Part 3. And so now the society has deemed it Doomsday.
Hell yeah.
Instead of bye bye Barbenheimer, here comes
Did that on
Doomsday,
purpose.
right? And actually, Secret Wars is also on the same. It comes out a year later, December 2027. And I think it also comes out on the same at the same time as another movie. I forgot which one though, but it has another same release date. Um, but yeah, so now this puts the timeline at this. Spider-Man now comes before, for right now, Doomsday and Secret Wars. It no longer sits in between Doomsday and Secret Wars as of right now, but unless they change something about it. So I knew they were going to delay. I did not think they were going to do this movie in a year, to be honest. Especially two movies, like with how they did Endgame and Infinity War. They filmed Endgame right after Infinity War. And after filming Infinity War. And I had a feeling they were going to do the same thing with this one. Doing this within a year with all the shooting and VFX, yeah, that I felt like that was not possible. So this is a good thing in my opinion because one, I'm always gonna go see a Marvel movie, right? So if I have to wait a little longer for this, especially for Doomsday, for like two big Avengers movies, I can wait a little longer for it. So that's one positive. Two, it gives more time for VFX artists to actually
Mhm.
work and take their time with how it looks, and for the end result to actually look really good, right? Um, and honestly, if they need to do reshoots, which it's a possibility, it gives them more time for reshoots, right? I think I just read something that they're filming. I don't know if they're filming in London right now or in the UK, but I think I saw like a location they were about to start filming at. It was like this big. It looked like a university actually. So I don't know what that has to do with anything. I also did see that like the Void would play a part, which obviously for Secret Wars makes sense. Um, but yeah, you guys are you guys gonna go see these movies even though they're delayed?
Yeah.
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 Yes.
Now, here's a better question. What do you think of the fact that Spider-Man comes before Doomsday now?
Are
Do you
we
think that'll like
talking?
impact the story
Are we talking release or like story wise?
release?
Release. We
Why
don't know
would it?
story wise.
I don't think it'll impact it. Mm-mm.
Because with it, with originally it coming out in between Doomsday and Secret Wars, Spider-Man's a big part of Secret Wars, right? So I had a feeling that the fourth Spider-Man movie was going to bleed into Secret Wars. Obviously, the end of that would, have him go into the next Avengers movie.
Mhm.
But now it's like, well, if it's coming before Doomsday now, unless they change it, how is the end of that? Like, is the end of that going to bleed
Oh,
into Doomsday? Is
I
Spider-Man going
see
to
what
show
you're
up in
saying.
Doomsday, or is he just going to be saved for Secret Wars? You know what I
I see
mean?
what you're saying. Yeah, the
You're
like
talking about saving Spider-Man for.
I don't know. I want to say they will use him in Doomsday, but one, he was not announced with the cast, with the chairs, right?
Right.
And I feel like they're not going to add anyone else to it unless it's like something small, like a cameo. So he could be a cameo. But I feel like the majority of Spider-Man's screen time is just going to be saved for Secret Wars
I
because he is a big
think.
part of that.
Yeah. I think he dies in Doomsday.
Spider-Man?
Yeah, he dies.
What? Where
Right.
did
Like
that come
dies.
from?
And they're going to bring him back in Secret Wars in the symbiote suit, and then they're gonna give us the iconic comic book cover where
I
he's like,
have that comic book cover.
yeah,
I
they're
have
gonna give
it.
us that. I think they're
Uh,
gonna give us that regardless in Secret Wars. But I think Doomsday he wasn't announced as the cast or whatever because they gotta chill with some of the expectations. They
yeah,
can't be like Tom
they
Holland's in it
yeah.
and then he's gonna be in there just to get.
yeah,
So I don't know. We'll see. I could see them saving him. Hawkeye, what they did with Hawkeye in Infinity War, where he's just
yeah,
not in it at all. They could do something like
yeah.
that too.
But what do you mean by he dies? Like, what do you think they would do to
I
him?
don't know. I guess it depends how they
If he
handle.
died, if he like died, like even like a simulation of it, you know how many people would be so upset about that?
Yeah, yeah,
They'd
it'd
be
be
so pissed
super.
off.
Yeah, I think ultimately it just depends on how they're gonna go about the story. I think they could keep it as simple as like, oh, Doom found out how to tap into the void,
Hmm.
and that's how he's, get taking over. And Spider-Man gets sent to the void, and as we know, it is possible to escape the void. So maybe
Yeah,
that it's as simple as that. It could just be
They
something.
gotta do it in a way where it's not an I don't feel so good moment all over again. You get me?
Yeah, they got to
yeah,
figure out a way to
They
do
gotta
all of
like
Doomsday that way. To be honest, where they
yeah.
just don't rehash Infinity War.
yeah,
And like
because
his
that's
reaction to seeing RDJ as, or who he thinks is Tony Stark is actually Doom.
like a little betrayal thing going on there.
Yeah.
That'd be intense.
Yeah, I looked it up, and take this with a grain of salt because Google is weird lately with all the AI stuff that it does. But on December 17th, 2027, Avengers Secret Wars comes out. Lord of the Rings, The Hunt for Gollum
Oh,
is
yeah.
Yes,
also
that's the
coming
other
out.
movie. It comes out
Yeah.
same day.
Which
Like a movie or like an
Yeah, it's
it's a
directed by Andy
movie.
Serkis.
Yep.
what?
And it
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm a
So that
huge Lord of the
yeah.
Rings fan, but
I'm hyped for it, honestly.
And then also a Star Wars movie is coming out on that date as well.
Interesting. I also
it's
have
all
So
another thing about this, but it's something else. But we'll touch on
yeah,
that later.
yeah.
yeah.
All this to say, I do think Marvel is building up some momentum here, right? Even with this delay, right? Eddie, you didn't really get to talk about the delays, but I think we're all on the same page, right? That this
I
is
think
ultimately a good thing.
Yeah.
yeah, I think they learned their lesson about overworking and
Mhm.
pushing. They had a couple years to think about that. They had several projects in between that I will admit I haven't watched yet. I have homework to do. A lot of homework. A lot of homework I got. Uh, I think they're gonna do good. I think they're hiding more than they did for leading up to Infinity and Endgame.
Yeah. It's very secretive.
Yeah, there. I think there's a lot that we don't know yet, that even the actors don't know yet. Um, you know, I think they're gonna do the same thing like they did in Infinity and Endgame, where each or some people get different scripts, so
Yeah.
nobody spills the beans.
Tom
Could be
Holland.
Uh,
Tom
huh?
Holland.
Tom
He
Holland. So
he
nobody
thinks
Tom
he's
Holland's
filming
it.
a completely different movie. He doesn't
Yeah.
even realize.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then I also think that they're working towards a a partnership, a solid partnership with Sony, so they can be able to actually bring a few comic book characteristics to life. So there's no issues, and we're back to step one where it's like, oh, it's delayed again because Sony doesn't want to do this. I think they're working like legally a lot into this because there's a lot of legal aspects um,
Yeah.
Yeah.
in the comic book world.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's interesting to see the Sony was like, "Hey, we're just ending our Spider-Man universe without Spider-Man."
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that to me says a lot more than what's just being said. Like, why would they do that, right? Are they seriously just going to sit back and collect their cut from Marvel because every now and then they use Spider-Man? No. Like, I feel like that's leaving a lot of money on the table for them to not at least reboot Spider-Man, right? So it could
Yeah.
be something like that where Sony's doing it and they're going to go with their own Spider-Man universe with actually a Spider-Man in it. Or maybe there's some sort of a reworking of that contract, a 50-50 ownership where Sony doesn't own as much, but they're still getting more by percentage. Or, I don't know, something like that. There's definitely a lot to look forward to. I think
Mm-hmm.
overall, though, the momentum's back. I don't think Marvel was ever gone. I just think they were just trying to do too much.
Yeah.
And we see it in the comic book world too, right? Where there'll be a few years where there's like a trend that takes over and maybe it wasn't that popular or maybe it was popular at the time, but then everybody looks back and
Mhm.
it's like, hey, remember when all the characters had pouches and belts, right? Or uh, you know, Liefeld can't draw feet, right? Like it's things that
Yeah.
like in retrospect we see them for what they are, but in the moment nobody's really noticing. I think that's what happened here with the MCU is
Yeah.
they tried to do a lot with Disney Plus. They tried to do a lot with even just the movies themselves, and not all of it panned out. The pandemic had its part in it too, sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're slowly building back up. What are you guys looking forward to the most, though?
I do want to just mention because you talked about like Marvel's like back and all that, but one of the things that I was like, oh, I totally forgot about this, um, is Ironheart. Because I totally
Oh,
forgot that was coming out, and because there was nothing about it. They did not promote it at all, and I think the trailer just came out like last week or something. So it comes out in like June, right?
yeah. So
Mhm.
I have a theory that Kevin Feige snapped a lot of ideas and projects that were in the works, or in the case of Ironheart, already completed,
Hmm.
because they just need to take things in a more concise, focused direction in the lead up to Secret Wars and Doomsday and Secret Wars, because that's going to serve as their like reboot. I
Yeah.
think Ironheart is part of that. Is where it's just kind of like, hey, this was an idea. It maybe was going to become something bigger, but Disney as a company has a better understanding of what they want for Disney Plus. They're not asking for content like that anymore. They realize they need to slow down. We realize we messed up.
Mm.
Ironheart, we've already invested enough. Why are we going
Yeah.
to spend more on marketing? So it's unfortunate because it looks fun. It doesn't, it doesn't look like it's going to be the next Avengers movie, obviously.
Yeah.
But it looks like it's a fun show in between like some of the other projects that I would watch, but also I watch everything.
Hmm.
Eddie, what do you think?
Yeah. That's one that I gotta catch up on because she was in Wakanda in
Wakanda
the
Forever.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Wakanda's Forever, right? Yeah,
Yep.
Hmm.
that's where she was introduced, and
Yep.
yeah, so that's one that I gotta catch up on. Um, but I think a lot of people liked her character.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people liked her character. I liked her character. I haven't even like seen the movie. Like
Yeah.
it's a one of those good things. But again, let's see what happens
Yeah.
with her in Secret Wars or in this in June.
Yeah.
So
It sucks because the what also kind of stinks is the people that this universe is technically like supposed to appeal to the most are the people that are like the biggest haters of the MCU, right? Like in theory, the MCU should appeal to comic book fans,
Hmm.
yeah,
right? And comic book fans know that there's a comic book for everything,
Yeah.
right? Like there's a comic book about Howard the Duck, right? There's a comic book about fucking Squirrel Girl, and canonically Squirrel Girl beat Thanos, right? Like there's all sorts of weird and interesting and different stories. But every time they try to do that with live action, every time they try to do that in the MCU, it best case scenario flops, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe not best case scenario, but sometimes it's a hit. Sometimes more times than it should, it flops just because they can't crack the egg on how to market this to the people that aren't comic book fans. Because the comic book fans are the first ones to be like, oh, diversity. Oh, they just want to make a story about a
Mhm.
woman or whatever. And it's like, no, this is a comic book character. And they're trying to take that same model where there's different types of stories, different types of characters, and just put it onto a fucking TV show.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of what's happening with Ironheart too, right? She-Hulk's another one where, she was never like this headliner type of character, right? It was always kind of that Deadpool vibe where she's breaking the fourth wall.
Hmm.
And she's not gonna come back for sure, right?
I don't think she's coming back, but I would watch it. I like the show, but I
Hmm.
also I also went into it understanding, hey, I'm not watching a comic book where they're saving the world.
Yeah.
I'm watching a show where it's
You're not
supposed to be
watching
funny.
Endgame. You're not watching the
Yeah,
the
yeah,
final revelation. Like yeah,
yeah,
Yeah. I'm
yeah,
literally watching a woman try to figure out how to be a Hulk and a lawyer.
yeah. Like
yeah,
I think a bunch of people just forgot how to just have fun with shows.
yeah,
Yeah.
Because I'm
yeah.
like, oh shit, like something new. It just got to a point where I couldn't like keep up. So I'm like, I'll just watch everything, binge watch it. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna have fun with it. I'm not gonna be like, why did they do this or that or whatever?
What do we think? And this is something that I don't think we've talked about much, but where do we think we're heading after Secret Wars and Doomsday?
Well, you know my opinion, so I'm
Yeah,
gonna hand it over to
Stefania thinks
Eddie.
the X-Men are gonna just be the only
So
characters to ever exist. But Eddie,
and so Infinity and Endgame, right? They weren't dark. They weren't dark. There were sad moments and intense moments, but they weren't like oh this is like messed up, right?
right?
So the action that's gonna happen in Doomsday and then the next phase, I think is gonna be a little bit more dark to open up to um whoever characters they have in mind in the future and make either a series or move on. Because like what they did was they did the phase and then they did a series and now they're back to phase. So after this phase, whoever they decide to bring into the universe, um, they're gonna make a series. Maybe keep it in the same dark path like Doomsday, because like Doomsday gets like Secret Wars and Doomsday. There's a lot of dark stuff there.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
not. This is like Doom. this
Yeah,
isn't,
really
this isn't
hoping.
Thanos.
I'm really hoping that Doom
That's the
pulls
thing.
Thanos
Yes.
skeleton
Yes.
right out of his body. If they don't do that, I'm gonna be so upset.
Yes.
Yeah.
So upset. I saw like an animation somebody did
Mhm.
of that,
It looked good.
and it was so sick.
It looks
Oh
so
my
good.
god. I will
thought
never
that-
forgive Marvel if they don't do that.
I thought that that's why they brought Sentry in, right? Because we saw him just be so crazy overpowered in the Thunderbolts. So, okay, he's clearly here so that this very crazy, powerful hero who literally has an alter ego that can just
Wipe
think
everybody out.
you out of existence and you're in the void. They're gonna put him up against Doom, and Doom's gonna be like, "This ain't nothing to me," and he's gonna take care of Sentry / the Void, kind of like that, which is what they did with Null in the comics, right? Sentry goes up against Null, and Null just like rips him in half. So I could see them not doing the Thanos thing, but
Or doing it, but with Sentry.
right, something where it's not like that in the
But
comics.
supposedly, I don't know. I gotta catch up on the article because this was a couple months ago. Supposedly, King Thanos, is set to make an appearance. I don't know
Okay.
how they're gonna do it, but that would be the third time that he comes back into our lives.
I hope they just bring him in just for him to get his skeleton ripped out.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's not.
yeah.
It's just a scene, you know. I don't think it's gonna
Just
be
to
like
show how powerful God Emperor
It could
Doom
even
has
be in the
become.
beginning.
Yeah.
It could even be in the beginning.
Or maybe it'll be in Secret Wars, right? Maybe
Probably.
it'll be when, because what is it? Secret War, the new Secret Wars. It's
2015. Yeah.
that the universes are collapsing,
Yeah, and that's where God Emperor Doom is introduced.
and he makes Battle World,
He makes
right?
Well,
So-
yeah, in the 80s run, yeah. Well, the Beyonder makes Battle World,
Right.
but
In the 80s run, sorry. Yes.
yes, and like Doom is kind of like the not the overseer, but he's like the big bad of it, basically.
Right. Right. So I'm just trying to connect how they would canonically within the MCU bring back Thanos. So it would have to
Yeah.
tap into like the multiversal
Yeah.
aspect of it, where it's like another Thanos, and he comes in and whatever.
Yeah.
It's a tough one.
So
We got World War Hulk. World
World War Hulk.
War Hulk. And which one? Which is the other one? There's another one that's supposed to come set after that. I think Moon Knight. Or they're laying off the season 2. I'm not.
no idea.
No, I don't think
I-
they're doing a season 2.
You mentioned Hulk. I did see today that Mark Ruffalo's apparently joining Spider-Man Brand New Day
Oh.
as Hulk. So that'll be interesting
Yeah.
to see kind of where they do with that, because I don't know. I don't know if because everybody forgot who Peter is.
Yeah.
I think. Let's see. Let's see what happens. I'm
Let's
sure
see.
there's a reason for it.
Yeah. I do want to mention, though, so with multiple movies being released when Doomsday and Secret Wars comes out, because there's this issue with this summer with Fantastic Four, Jurassic World, and Superman coming out. Apparently, Jurassic World is not getting an IMAX showing. I don't know if that's like confirmed, but I think it's like 1 week after the other. Like, I don't know if it's Fantastic Four or Superman comes out before or after it, but like that one's not getting an IMAX showing, which sucks.
I think it's because it's either they have a contract with Regal, because Regal has their, what is it called? The 40X? Is it 40X?
40X is like the immersive one.
Yeah. I can't, I'm not saying that's it, but they've been promoting a lot on Regal lately. I haven't seen anything about IMAX or
Let
anything.
me see. Yeah. Um, okay, it's gonna be shown in Real D 3D 40X,
Mm.
Screen X, and other large premium formats. Um, none of the 1738 IMAX screens worldwide, and none of them are gonna show Jurassic World. Um, yeah. Yeah, it sucks.
That's crazy because that one seems like it should be the one that
Because
gets the IMAX.
Justin did say that anybody will go out to see a dinosaur movie, right? So you'd
Yeah.
think. And
And
he
not
says
just
that's
that,
when it's
just
going to be the most
visually.
successful.
Visually, that probably seems like the one that you would want. And
Yeah.
maybe Fantastic Four, you don't because all of that's going to be CGI.
Well, it's Marvel.
Right.
They think like Marvel, big
Right.
money.
They just want the Marvel
You
money,
know.
is what it is. Yeah.
It comes out July 2nd. Let me see. So that comes out July 2nd. Um, the F1 movie comes out June 27th, and that will have an IMAX window.
And then we got the Fantastic Four in July.
Yeah, so it'll go F1 June 27th, Jurassic World July 2nd, Superman July 11th, and Fantastic Four July 25th. All of those movies will have IMAX showings. That's why I'm like, oh, so now with Doomsday releasing on the same day as Dune 3,
Right.
which
That's
one's gonna
gonna
get
be
the
tough.
IMAX showing? Unless I don't know if theaters like go back and forth with the IMAX showings. Like they show maybe like Dune like at 4 o'clock, and then 7 o'clock is Avengers, but or maybe
Yeah.
select theaters will have IMAX showings for certain ones. So I don't know
Yeah,
what they're gonna do
gonna
with
have to
that.
negotiate that, and even it sounds silly, but even the Hunt for Gollum might
Yeah,
end up getting right.
yeah,
It depends if they're gonna film it and make it look as stunning, because I can see that not being the case. I can see
yeah.
that being. Wait, the Hunt for Gollum is about what again?
It uh oh, when does it take place? Hold on, I literally just read about it.
Is it another prequel or
Yeah,
like
yeah,
after?
bro.
Oh, it's a
Gollum
prequel.
dies. Of course, it's a prequel.
It's
I don't know.
I will get you the details right now.
I don't
It's
know
a
what these
fan.
guys want from their stuff anymore. Like
It's a multiverse. It's if Gollum didn't die.
the ring he puts on the ring and he disappears in the lava and goes
Uh,
back in time.
Something.
Okay, so it falls after the birthday party of Bilbo and before the mines of Moria.
Oh, so
Oh.
the elves hunting,
Um,
at, or Aragorn hunting Gollum.
so they don't.
No, it's
It
not
could be.
Aragorn. It's the elves.
The elves.
It's the
Yeah.
elves.
Yeah.
It's possible for Ian McKellen, Orlando Bloom, and Viggo Mortensen to return if the story needs them to return. And I'm sure they all express interest in returning if the story sees fit for them. And I wouldn't be surprised if I would be surprised if they turned it down because they all had so much fun
They love it.
filming Lord of the Rings. Ian McKellen to this day talks about filming Lord of the Rings, not The Hobbit, because The Hobbit was horrible for him.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Totally understandable. For anyone that doesn't know, when they were filming Lord of the Rings, it was all in person, all like practical sets. They were all like having fun, joking around. With The Hobbit, he filmed his scenes in front of green screens, and the actors weren't even in the room.
What?
Yeah.
Which it like
I didn't even know
mentally,
that.
yeah, it mentally like he couldn't like perform. He couldn't act. He got frustrated and just
Exhausting.
I think
it
I
was
read
exhausting.
something. I think I read
So
something about that. Yeah.
yeah, I'm sure like they would all love to return and work together. They had I watched like so many like behind the scenes of what they did the original movies, and they all had so much fun.
Yeah. I think if I don't think we need Legolas, because I don't think it's
We always need Legolas.
no.
Always.
But it wasn't the wood elves hunting him. It was Elrond's elves hunting him.
Yeah.
So we could just get Gandalf.
So will it? Is it picking up after the series
So,
on.
okay, hold on. So let's have a Lord of the Rings deep dive, semi deep dive here. So in the book, when after Bilbo's birthday party and he slips on the ring and he goes back to his apartment, his house, Gandalf and him have this conversation. And that's when Gandalf first realizes, wait a minute, this ring may not be just a normal ring. So he goes from the Shire all the way to Minas Tirith and he starts researching and trying to figure out what the hell this ring is. He starts trying to learn about it. It takes him 17 years to do that.
Yeah.
So when he gets back to the Shire, he comes back a couple times, but when he gets back before the journey begins, that's 17 years later. So the birthday party, Bilbo's birthday party, which is the same birthday as Frodo, is Frodo's 33rd birthday. Frodo starts off to Rivendell when he's 50 years old. So during those 17 years, at some point he realizes, oh shit, I need to get a hold of Gollum. So he gets with Elrond and he's like, hey, we gotta find this dude. So Elrond gets his elves and they start hunting Gollum. So that's apparently this time period that this movie is going to be set in during those 17 years. How
I
they're
didn't
going to
know
do
you
that
knew
for
it
the
like
movie, who knows?
I didn't know you knew it. I thought I was like
My man.
a fan. Damn.
He's supposed to pull it out. Watch.
What he's got? The ring? What do you have? The books.
Right here, baby. And then Fellowship is somewhere. I don't know where it is.
Oh my god.
And then I'm thinking about doing the Silmarillion, but I've heard that's a whole other level of commitment because it's like not a novel, right? It's more just like read this history textbook, which is kind of like shit. Yeah, I do know it like that. I didn't know you knew it like that.
I was forced into it is summer camp. My parents were like, "You're gonna go to this reading summer camp thing at UM,"
Oh, what a nerd!
and I was like, "Ah," but it was worth it. It was pretty cool. We read The Hobbit.
So somehow the conversation about Marvel and the MCU picking up steam has naturally led us to talk about Lord of the Rings. Thank you so much, everybody.
Do.
Thank you so. That's true. All things do lead back to Lord of the Rings, but that's a topic that's another podcast.
Yeah.
For those of you tuning in, thank you so much, Eddie. Where can people find you if they saw you here today and they said, "Damn, that man fine as hell"?
Or they heard him and was like, "Damn, that man sounds like he's fine as hell."
Where could they find you, Eddie?
We got blind viewers.
Yeah,
wow,
probably. They would listen on Spotify.
Why do you hate blind people, Eddie?
That's true. You can find me on my Instagram under Eduardo EDUARDO _ Lagares LAGARES.
There it is. And of course, it's going to be tagged in the description of this episode. If you're watching, if you're still watching, thank you. Thank you so much for not just going to the next video. Because I know I probably would have gone to the next video. Make sure to leave a comment. Let us know what you think about Marvel, about Lilo and Stitch, why you hate live action remakes so much. Do you love Lord of the Rings? Do you like Gollum? What would you have done during those 17 years waiting for your wizard friend to come back and let you know what the hell the ring is about? Let us know in the comments. Leave us, what is it, reviews? Stefania, what is it?
5-star. Leave us a review, 5-star review. Comment down below. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments, and we probably will answer them in the next one. We love answering questions over here.
We do very, very much. And as always, we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Adios.